So despite this, he insisted to his parents that he knew where he was. His father, Brian, stayed on the phone with him while trying to locate him, and Brian and Annette drove to this area between Lund and Marshall as they attempted to find their son, but they couldn't find anything. So they drove around in circles, listening through the phone as Brandon described seeing fences, gravel roads, and hearing water nearby. Brandon eventually told his father he was going to leave the car and walk toward what he thought were lights from Lund. He said he'd head to a friend's house which is in Lund, and that they could meet him there. The phone call continued for nearly 47 minutes as Brandon walked and talked. Describing his surroundings, he still seemed calm, but slightly irritated and disoriented. Then, at 2:30 AM, Brandon suddenly said, "Oh s***!" Then the call went silent. The line stayed open, but there was no more sound. His parents tried calling back repeatedly. The phone continued to ring in the morning and throughout the day, suggesting that it was still powered on, but eventually, it began going straight to voicemail. When Brandon didn't return, his parents reported him missing earlier that morning at around 6:30 AM. At first, authorities weren't overly alarmed, considering that Brandon himself was an adult, assuming as they often do with adults that he would show up eventually. But things changed when his car was located in a ditch near Taunton, nowhere near where Brandon thought he was, suggesting it hadn't been in a serious crash. There was no signs of struggle or foul play at the scene. Tracking dogs were brought in and the scent led northwest from the vehicle. The trail passed through an abandoned farmhouse and across some dirt gravel roads and along the Yellow Medicine River. But then, out of nowhere, it just stopped. The scent was gone. So that discovery led investigators to believe that Brandon had fallen into the river and drowned. But despite extensive searches, plus sonar sweeps, nothing ever proved this, and no body was ever found. Not a single trace of him was recovered from the river, which is incredibly unusual if he did drown in that river. There's also a possibility that he left the area and was met with foul play elsewhere. No concrete evidence ever surfaced to support this theory, and to this day, no one knows what happened to Brandon Swanson. In the wake of the tragedy, Brandon's parents lobbied lawmakers to ensure that similar cases were taken seriously from the start. Their efforts led to the passing of Brandon's Law in 2009, which requires law enforcement to begin immediate investigations into missing adult cases where the missing person could be in danger. Though Brandon's fate remains a mystery, his story has not been forgotten. His parents continue to search for answers, hoping one day to bring their son home, or at least to find out what truly happened that fateful night.